It's indeed an honor and an inspiration to be amongst people who came because of the word Ahimsa. There are not so many like this. In the room. Ahimsa. When I was a child, growing up in the concrete jungle that is Mumbai, I was like 90% of the people in urban India. I was compassionate but disconnected with animals. I remember when I was 10, my family came back from Canada, and for the first time I saw poverty. And it gave me a pit in my stomach. They have nothing and we have so much. But after a while, I got used to it. You can never get used to it, but you start accepting it. I grew up connected to animals, but still disconnected. On my first birthday, I was given a pair of rabbits. And when they died, my mother was so distraught, she didn't want to have anything to do with animals again. And so we didn't. Until on my 8th birthday, somebody gave me a bowl of fish. And the same thing happened. They died. And it was very painful. But all this time, I was taken to zoos and circuses and enjoyed them. And I didn't make the connection. I loved watching animals. I'm sure some of you can relate to this too, even if you now know better. I grew up in a vegetarian family. And when I saw someone eat meat, it brought to my mind the struggle that that animal must have gone to just to hold on to its life until it was turned into a piece of food. Like all children, the next slide. Like all children, I was totally connected with animals. Children are. Children have animals all around them. In their cribs, in their books, in their dreams. Children love animals, but it's parents that say, "Chi." And we are living in a society where we are conditioned to think of animals as commodities. In the 1980s, I first came to know that in order to consume milk, a cow has to be made pregnant and that her baby is taken away from her. Cheese was made from the stomach linings of young calves, and this made me sick to my stomach. I vowed to leave dairy, but like some of you, I found it too hard. I love my cheese and butter and cream and ice cream and sweets, buttermilk, curds, paneer, whatever you love. The more I thought about it, though, the less I ate it, until one day I was sitting opposite Ranjit Konkar, the then editor of BWC, in a conversation, and I made up my mind to be 100% vegan. This was around 2002. And this changed my entire life. I realized that as long as we are exploiting animals, our minds justify it. And we keep doing it. It's cultural. It's ingrained in our society. Everyone's doing it. Why be different? But once we change, we want everyone to change. And it became a passion with me. I started taking photographs like these. Sentient beings living in garbage, serving us like slaves. You can look into their eyes and you know that there's a living person there. And they were made pregnant, their babies tied away from them so that their milk could be sold, and it brought to their eyes tears. These are all my photographs. And the calves too were crying. And male calves were just tied up and kept aside because there was no milk for them. And female calves were a little luckier, but nothing much to live for. Male calves became byproducts of the dairy industry sold for calf leather. And when I was young, I used to use calf leather. I don't even know how. And I think it's just because we all don't know the truth. Nobody tells us. We are living a lie. And their mothers, they too, after a couple of years, are in the same situation. They go for slaughter. I soon realized, though, that people didn't want to see my photos. They didn't want to know all about this. But I was determined to help them make the connection, and so I started showing them videos like this. I'm going to show you one. You know, I think all of us were brought up with milk. And the reason we don't think about it is because when we're very young, even before we can think, our parents run around us with a glass of milk. So much so that the first milk of the cow, the colostrum, is sold as a delicacy, which means that the baby hasn't suckled even once. And I know this because we just don't think about it. So it became a passion for me to let more people know about what's going on. And I did an internship at a place called Farm Sanctuary, whose mission it was to rescue farm animals so that people could connect to them so that they wouldn't eat them anymore. And this young male calf was thrown away when he was born because he had diarrhea, and he wasn't even worth the $2 that they sell calves for. He was rescued and brought to Farm Sanctuary, and I was looking after him as he grew up, and I realized that he's just like a dog or a baby or a human being, And when he said his first moo, all of us were so excited. And when he ate his first solid food, it's just like having a baby. So I learned there that, animals used in our food chain undergo so much suffering. I want to show you a short video of what really goes on.
The unbridled quest for economic efficiency has led here, to filthy, overcrowded, industrialized farms that threaten our health, pollute our environment, and subject billions of animals to intolerable cruelty. Each is a sentient being, endowed with awareness and feeling. To agribusiness, they are mere commodities, raw materials on an assembly line. Their suffering is immense, unrelenting, and largely hidden.
Sometimes we think eggs are vegetarian because they are non-fertile. But I want to show you a video of what really happens if we are eating eggs. The males and the female chicks are separated right away. No point feeding the males. And the males go down a kind of chute and are crushed up, ground up, and fed back to their sisters. The females, on the other hand, are going to be egg layers their entire short lives. And they are made to lay 250 eggs a year. A normal hen lays 25. So you can imagine what kind of manipulations they go through. First, their beaks and their toes, the most sentient part of their body, is cut off so that they cannot attack each other when they're kept 5 to a cage in a small area. And this is the food that we are taking. I realized that when I changed my diet, even from, just before I stopped, I was having once in a while a bit of ghee, or very, very rarely something. And when I changed my diet completely, I realized that it was a huge change in the state of mind. Because you're no longer ingesting this pain and suffering. But I realized that people had a lot of questions. They have questions like, where will you get your proteins? And that's just because we don't stop to think. That's because gym trainers are telling us that we need more protein, without thinking, where do the cows get their protein from? Where do the elephants, horses, and other animals get their protein from? I mean, all the herbivores in nature get protein as much as they need. Why would we be different? So, horse, which is a strong animal, has all the protein it needs. Do we need extra protein, even pea protein, to, do bodybuilding? And calcium. Isn't milk for calcium? Don't we need milk for strong teeth and bones? But think about it. All the people with cavities and osteoporosis are people who have had milk all their lives. Then how did they get this? Sometimes we just don't stop to think. These are all foods that contain plenty of calcium, and sesame seeds contain 10 times more calcium than cow's milk. You can see from this chart, here's sesame seeds, and here's cow's milk. And human breast milk, which is more than enough for us in calcium, is just 33 milligrams per 100 grams. That means we get more than enough calcium even from just a fruit diet. But if we're having beans and greens and grains and seeds, we're getting far more than enough calcium. The problem is not the lack of calcium, it's vitamin D. So I started letting people know about myths about health and nutrition and all kinds of, today we see so many obese people. But how come no animal in nature is obese? It's only us. What are we doing wrong? We're eating food that's not suitable to our species. So I started teaching them about, the anatomy of carnivores and herbivores and omnivores. We're not omnivores. If you look at a real omnivore and then look at our teeth, it's clear that we're herbivores. And milk is a food that every mammal makes only for its young, and we're surely not calves. So I started the organization SHARAN, and SHARAN stands for Sanctuary for Health and Reconnection to Animals and Nature. Once you make the connection, you can't eat their products of exploitation anymore. And we share our information through talks and seminars and cooking classes and farmers markets and retreats and webinars and more. We are always there. In fact, I'm so proud of the SHARAN team that so many of them are here today, along with all the other people who organized this amazing Ahimsa festival. Most diseases are a direct result of putting wrong fuel in your body. You would never give a cow meat or a lion grass, but we put anything into our body. So what can you do? There are lots of reasons to go vegan. The first is for animals. Environment. Today our environment is degrading, and we can do a lot to save it just by going on a plant-based diet. I'm going to show you a video right after this to show you why. And human health. And to end starvation. We are feeding animals and raising animals when we don't have enough food to feed our humans. And then conservation and biodiversity. All the land is being used to graze animals rather than for biodiversity. And of course, the ethical reason is the most important, especially today at the Ahimsa Fest. So I want to show you a short video.
I realized I had the choice every single day to save over 1,100 gallons of water, 45 pounds of grain, 30 square feet of forested land, the equivalent of 20 pounds of CO2, and one animal's life every single day.
Veganism is the most powerful tool that we have for saving our planet, for ending world hunger, for improving our health when we eat health consciously, and for regaining our compassion, for becoming the people that we believe ourselves to be, good people.
We all say we love animals and we all are against animal cruelty, but we pay people to mutilate, torture, and slaughter animals.
They can sense the fear, they can smell the blood, and they fight. They fight to the end. In my years of being vegan and speaking with many, many non-vegans, I have yet to hear one reason that even comes close to justifying putting a sentient being through what we just watched. Not one.
And it's not for any necessity. It's not because we need to for our health. It's just because we like the way they taste.
And these creatures have never harmed you, violated you, or taken advantage of you in any way, shape, or form. The least you can do is return the favor.
I'm a vegan, which means I don't participate in any animal exploitation or cruelty. I don't consume any animal products. And I wanted to show people through my journey and my writing on the blog just how easy that is to do, how healthy it is.
These are the top 15 causes of death, the top 15 reasons Americans die. And a plant-based diet can help prevent nearly all of them, can help treat more than half of them, and in some cases even reverse the progression of disease, including our top 3 killers.
And our Cornell and Harvard say that the optimal amount of meat in a healthy human diet is precisely 0.
They're killing you, they're killing the animals, and they're killing this planet.
We don't need to eat animals. We benefit in every conceivable way from not eating them.
This is a chance for a personal revolution, to leave your mark on this planet by causing the least amount of harm possible.
As I travel around the world, I see poor countries who sell their grain to the West while their own children starve in their arms. and the West feeds it to livestock.
And good people don't take food from the mouths of starving children. Good people don't destroy the planet, leaving our children futureless. Good people don't kill newborn babies. Good people don't rape, torture, or murder. Yet good people everywhere are doing all of these things with every single bite. But we have the power to stop all of this, and that is the beauty of veganism. It happens on an individual basis.
And here's something you could stand up 3 times, 4 times, 5 times a day and say, I'm opposed to discrimination. I'm opposed to injustice. And that's why I'm eating vegan meals. This is something you can actually do.
You are the change. You decide what goes in your body. You decide whether you want to continue to have others kill for you. You decide whether you want to continue consuming death, terror, and heartbreak. You decide. And my hope is that you'll decide to go vegan.
I know that
I really hope you make the right choice.
I know that most of you here have already made the choices. Now it's up to all of us to spread the word. As Atul Bhai said, we need to make a change in everybody. And we can only do this by understanding them, by listening to them, not forcing them, but inspiring them to make the change and go vegan. So if you think it's difficult to go vegan, imagine how difficult it is for the animals that you're not. Live your values, change the world. Every single meal, you have the choice. I thank you very much for being here and wish you all the best in your vegan path or your vegan to become path. Okay? Wherever you are, let's all get there and change the world. Thank you very much.